Well, a lot of the research projects that I do leads me to a deeper understanding of how we function with the objects we create in our society. Our consumerist-based society talks about the goals inside our consumer-based society are constant growth and manufacturing. So what I hear in that isn't the profit side. I hear the dark side, which is what to do with these leftover items, what to do when they're no longer functional or have served their purpose. A lot of times they're very, very temporary purpose. The idea of, what is a ready-made versus what is a disposable? Are these the same things? Are these different? I want to research that. I want to know what those things are. So, it's really easy for me to connect Marcel Duchamp with an artist who picks up trash. And to me, that's part of the entire conversation of art history. Only this is a part of our time. It's important for artists now to understand these materials. We're not necessarily using precious materials like we used to, like the highest quality of cobalt, mixed in our hand-mixed oil paints. I know a lot of artists that still do that and can make a new tradition out of that. But many, many artists are responding to what they see in society. And unfortunately, a lot of what we have to respond to in society is a sort of an onslaught against nature and a poisoning of everything that we need to survive. So I think things that have become dire in that way speak to artists directly. So they want to get their hands on this material. They want to know what is going on. They want to, if nobody else is going to use it, they want access to this material. So it resonates a lot with people. They get what it is because it's something that's on their mind as well. And they almost applaud artists that are finding ways to use, unwanted materials, because at least it's this respite from the constant waste. Nobody really wants valuable objects to go to waste. It's our perception that they're no longer valuable that makes them garbage. If we have a different perception in these inanimate objects, they're no longer garbage. So I try to see the intrinsic value in how much plastic is contained in that object, how much glass, how much metal. Those things have intrinsic value. Can I reshape them? Can I transform them into something that still has resonance and can still speak to people? And maybe even have that conversation with them about how do we relate to these objects? Do you really need 1,000 disposable plastic items, or can you spend a little bit more money and get a wooden and a metal one that you can fix forever, that will be with you? Do you want that? Do we not want that? What do we want to be disposable? What do we want to last forever? I'm not against plastics, I'm not, that's the thing that I want people to understand in my work, is that it's about the application of these things. If you want something to last forever, make it out of a material that will last forever. If you want something to be disposable, make it out of a material that biodegrades within a year. That's it. It's very simple. So that's why I turn to science a lot in answering these questions, but I filter it all back through the art because I let the scientists do what they're doing. It's so important what they're doing, and it's important for me to be a purveyor of that information out to people culturally so that they can find really cool and fun and interesting ways to engage with these ideas, that where they can see that it's relevant and directly relevant to their own lives and everything that they touch and see, because it's all understandable. It's all everyday objects that I'm working with. So. There are a lot of different associations with different words. I think probably there might even be a subconscious thing where people are associating the term trashy to trash, and maybe they're seeing it as more like something that a group of young people would be excited by, because it's trashy, it's edgy, it's street, something more like that, whereas a more refined sort of found object artist would poo-poo that and say, but I do found object work, and I do upcycling, and I do something that's in the canon of fine art, even though it is this sort of labeled this refuse material. I think it might just be where you're from and your take on it. I can see some people seeing the word trash as a cool thing that they can riff off of, and then other people seeing it as a slight. But that's the great thing about art. You want to have those questions answered in as many different ways as you possibly can. So, let's have as many positive responses to it, and let some people define it by being against that. That's and why, and let them explain it. I never like to set up dualisms where one thing is good and one thing is bad, or you should only do this or do that. I love the conversation surrounding, well, why? What does that mean to you? Why? In what way? How can it be positive? How can it be bad? How can it, is it neutral? Can it be neutral? Is there a context for neutrality there when you're talking about trash? There are a lot of different ways to answer that question, I think. So I see it as an open question for people to answer in their own ways with it. I'm sure, we have this term gilding the lily. I'm sure there could be, I imagine an artist who could literally take just absolute, abject, no other way to describe it, trash off the street and find a way to, gild the lily on that one and turn it into something so highbrow that it's not even funny, and that's the whole point. So I think there's a lot of leeway there,